What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Off the Backboard. I am your host, Eloy Thomas, and today we're going to be breaking down the mountain highs and valley lows that we've experienced in the career of Draymond Green so far. But before we get into that, I want to get into a few OTB comments. Now, Ask OTB is a segment that I announced in last video. Basically, the way that it works is you drop a hashtag AskOTB in the comment section down below with a question, hot take, anything like that, and there's a chance that it could be featured in one of these videos. You know, just something for me to interact with you guys a little bit more. Now, the turnout for this was a lot better than I expected it. I posted it across a few different platforms, Instagram, TikTok, follow me on those if you haven't already. But if you don't see your question in today's video, just comment again. There's a chance it could be in a future video, or I may recycle through some of the old comments. There was a lot of good ones. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them today, but without further ado, the first question we have is from Alejandro. He said, do a top 10 list of centers across the league, hashtag barbecue chicken. Now I'm dropping my list in order. The next one that I have coming out is my power forward list. That's going to be coming out this week, so be on the lookout for the centers list next week. Next question comes from Colin on TikTok. He asks, did you like the in-season tournament? And I cannot express how much of a fan I am of the in-season tournament. It just brings that competitive fire to the regular season, something that we've always needed, because during these months it can get a little bit stagnant leading up to the All-Star game, and just the compensation that it gives to young players. You had 3 players on the Lakers roster who doubled their salaries on the year. And the Pacers, if they would have won that, there was a lot of young guys on that team. They have one of the lowest salaries across the entire NBA. So that would have been a huge compensation for them. And just seeing a young team like the Pacers rise through the ranks and really push to that in-season tournament cup was just amazing to watch. I dropped a video about a week back going through my opinion of the in-season tournament. So if you haven't seen that already, be sure to go and check it out. Now up next, coming from Uriah, he asked, Draymond Green, NBA or MMA? Now, Draymond Green is possibly the closest thing to an MMA fighter that we've seen in the NBA since like the 80s or 90s. This guy has the punches, the kicks, the headlocks. Doing some research on this video, I come to find out that Rudy Gobert was not the first NBA player that he's thrown in a headlock in his career, which is absolutely insane. But before we get into that, I want to start with talking about his high school career. Draymond's playing career began at Saginaw High School located in Michigan, where he really flourished as a junior and a senior. His junior year, he averaged 25 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists to go along with 3 steals, already showing his versatility as a player at a young age. Led Saginaw to a Class A state championship with a 26-1 record that season. After coming off of that amazing junior season, he racked up offers from big schools like Kentucky, Indiana, and Michigan, but he decided to stay true to home soil, signing his letter of intent with the Michigan State Spartans on November 14, 2007. Now, even after signing his letter of intent, Draymond went on to have an amazing senior season, averaging 20 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 blocks. He led the Saginaw High Trojans to a 27-1 record, as well as their second straight Class A state championship. He was the number 4th national ranked player by USA Today, the captain of the Detroit Free Press All-State Dream Team, the number 36 player in the ESPN 150, and the 13th power forward on that list. Now, despite the amazing run that he had in high school, for the Michigan State Spartans, his freshman year, he would only average 3 points and 3 rebounds coming off of the bench. But with a year of experience under his belt, Draymond would really turn his play around his sophomore season, averaging 10 points, almost 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal, becoming the first player in Michigan State history to win the 6th Man of the Year award, and did so unanimously. Draymond would make his rookie debut with the Golden State Warriors on October 31st, 2013, where he would put up a stat line of just 1 minute, 1 rebound, and 1 foul. Now, just under a month after his rookie debut, Draymond would go on to receive his first career ejection versus the Portland Trail Blazers on November 23rd. Long story short, there was a scuffle between Andrew Bogut and Joel Freeland. They got into it. Both teams ended up scuffling. There's a lot of people involved in this one, and Draymond just so happened to get ejected. Now, this would be telling, as Draymond would go on to involve himself in a lot more situations that didn't really involve him and get ejected from it. But it's crazy to think that the first ejection of his career wasn't even exactly his fault. He was just trying to be a good teammate. Now, it can be argued that his first career ejection wasn't exactly his fault, but this next one you're going to see is when you start to see a little bit more of the truer colors of Draymond Green, and the Warriors and the NBA as a general started to see that this is a guy that you're going to love to have on your team, but you're going to hate to play against. Now, all of this would happen on a Christmas Day game against the Los Angeles Clippers, where he would end up elbowing Blake Griffin in the face and receive a flagrant 2 and was consequently ejected from the game. Now, this ejection would be telling for the future of Draymond Green, as it of course was his first sort of violent altercation with a player with a blatant elbow. As well as this, he received his first fine from the NBA for $15,000 since he refused to leave the court in a timely manner. Now, the reason he didn't leave in a timely manner is, as some of you may have guessed, he was pleading to the refs as to why that wasn't a flagrant and why he shouldn't be ejected. Again, telling on his future and the things to come for Draymond Green. Now, it didn't take long for Draymond to solidify himself as a huge piece in the lethal Golden State Warriors offense. With David Lee out to start the 2014-15 season, he took that starting spot, and after a 16-game winning streak and a 21-2 overall record, he had pretty much solidified himself as the starter of the future for the Warriors. Now, this was no doubt the breakout season for Draymond Green, as he was averaging a career high in every major statistic up to this point. On January 2nd, he recorded his first ever career triple-double with 16, 11, and 13 in a win over the Raptors. He finished second in Defensive Player of the Year and Most Improved Player voting. And in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, he provided them with a triple-double, which capped the first ever championship in the Warriors era. Now that he was fresh off of this championship run and had proven that he was a massive part of this Golden State Warriors offense and defense, he would go on to ink a 5-year, $82 million contract with them on the 9th of July, 2015. Now, the 2015-2016 season was, of course, a historic one for the Golden State Warriors, where they would go on to beat the Chicago Bulls' 72-10 win record with a 73-9 record across the entire season. Now, of course, this was one of the more quiet seasons for Draymond in the regular season in terms of ejections, crazy things, stuff like that. But it's just really hard to act out when all you're doing is win all the time, 73 wins on the season. And that's why you've seen his antics and stuff like that really start to come out more towards the playoffs when they were facing more adversity. Now, the Warriors would run through their first 2 rounds in the playoffs against the Rockets and the Trailblazers respectively, beating them both in 5 games. But when things got really chippy is when they got to the conference finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, this series would go on to create arguably one of the most infamous moments in Draymond Green's career, with them already at a 1-1 series and Oklahoma taking Game 1 on their home floor. During Game 3, Draymond would go on to do this. Now, in game time, this infamous kick was only called a flagrant 1, but after the game, the league decided to look into the call a little bit more and decided to upgrade it to a flagrant 2, and he was also fined $25,000. Now, there was a lot of speculation that the league should have suspended Draymond for at least 1 game because of this act, but they didn't, and they ended up going on to win the series in 7 after going down 3-1, the first NBA team in history to complete a 3-1 comeback in the NBA playoffs. Now, with the Warriors advancing to the NBA Finals, it looked like they were ready to continue their domination after the 3-1 comeback against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they would do that for the first few games. In Game 2, actually, Draymond put up an insane stat line of 28 points, 5 threes, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists to lead the Warriors to a 2-0 lead against the Cavaliers. But in Game 4 is when things got really crazy for the Warriors and the Cavs. Big part of that was on Draymond Green, and another one of his most infamous moments of his entire career. Now, after picking up a game at home against the Golden State Warriors, the Cavs knew that this Game 4 was going to be extremely important, as did the Warriors. Now, if the Warriors could pick up this win and go up 3-1 in the finals, then they knew that that championship was all but theirs. But if the Cavs could pick up the second win on their 2-game home stretch and make this a 2-2 series, then this would still be an extremely competitive series that could go either way. Now, of course, with this mindset, the Cavs came out trying to play really scrappy basketball and get into the head of the Warriors, and this ended up ultimately working as LeBron was trying to do a step over on Draymond. Draymond got extremely defensive and went on to pick up one of the most important flagrant fouls of his entire career, as when he flung his arm up and hit LeBron in the groin, he received a flagrant 1 for unnecessary and retaliatory actions. And LeBron would go on to pick up a taunting flagrant, but this was more important on the end of the Golden State Warriors, as with his fourth flagrant in the playoffs, he was suspended for Game 5. Now, with Draymond suspended for Game 5, this had brought a new spark to the Cleveland Cavaliers and taken away a huge piece of the Golden State Warriors offense and defense, as they had just lost one of their best passers and their best defender. The Cavaliers would go on to win Game 5, 6, and 7, competing 3-1 comeback in the NBA Finals, despite Draymond putting up 32 points, 15 rebounds, and 9 assists in Game 7. Now, despite him keeping up his play in the finals and Steph and Klay having some less than stellar games from deep, a lot of Warriors fans pin this loss on Draymond Green and the fact that he couldn't keep his emotions under control, as if he could have stayed and played that Game 5, who knows how the series could have went. They could have put the Cavs away 4-1 right there, or even if they didn't put him away right there, just having that continuity of having Draymond on the floor, that leadership, and bringing that momentum into Game 6, the series could have just went a completely different way. So I completely understand why Warriors fans till this day still pin that loss on Draymond Green. Now, Warriors fans would quickly forgive Draymond Green, as he was a huge part of the recruitment process of bringing Kevin Durant over to the Golden State Warriors, and just because the 2016-17 season was just an amazing season for Draymond as a whole. He ended up being an All-Star and a DPOY. He had the first triple-double ever without points, with a stat line of 4 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals. And as many of you guys may know, with Kevin Durant joining this new roster, they would go on to just run through the playoffs and win a second NBA championship in that dynasty. Now, though 2017 was an amazing year for Draymond and the Warriors, that he still wouldn't go without getting into a few scuffles. His biggest one being on October 27, 2017, where he would be ejected versus the Washington Wizards for a fight versus Bradley Beal, where he would actually engage his first headlock in an NBA game. Draymond was quoted after the game saying, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do if someone hits you twice. Man, you're taught as a kid not to allow that. What was I supposed to do? There's history with me in the NBA. That's the only reason I can think of why I was ejected." Now, this is a quote that a lot of NBA fans at the time just thought was a little bit weird, me included, simply just because Draymond has infamously had one of the longest leashes with NBA officials when it comes to any NBA superstar, and just for him to say that he feels like the NBA has something against him was just kind of crazy to hear. Now, even though Draymond was a big part in the recruiting process of bringing Kevin Durant to Golden State, he no doubt was one of the biggest reasons as to why he wanted to leave. On November 13, 2018, in a very close game against the Los Angeles Clippers, Draymond would grab a defensive rebound with a few seconds left in the game and push the ball up. He seen KD calling for the ball and ended up trying to do his own thing and ended up spilling all over the floor and sending the game to overtime. Now, Kevin Durant, being the elite scorer that he is, was of course extremely upset with not getting the ball from Draymond in the closing moments of that game. This led to a scuffle on the bench where Draymond would call Kevin Durant a bitch multiple times and tell him that the Warriors won without him and that they would continue to win without him, so that he just needed to leave. As a result of this scuffle, Draymond would be given a 1-game suspension from the team, something that Kevin Durant would come out in the future and say that he felt was just a band-aid on the situation. They really didn't handle it effectively, and I feel like there was a lot of tension between those two for the rest of the year. Despite that, the Warriors would still go on to win the 2017-18 championship, the third of the Warriors era and the third of Draymond Green's career. Despite Kevin Durant leaving this same offseason, the Warriors would offer Draymond Green a 4-year, $100 million contract that he would end up accepting on August 3rd, 2019. Now, despite the massive payday for Draymond, this would prove to be one of the toughest stretches of his entire career, as from 2019 to 2021, the Warriors would suffer back-to-back playoff misses on the back of just shaky health from Klay and Steph, and losing Kevin Durant. But things would really start to turn around for Draymond and the Warriors in the 2021-2022 season, where Draymond would have a bounce-back year, making his 4th All-Star appearance, his first since 2018, his 7th All-Defensive appearance, and on the back of a healthy Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, the Warriors were able to bring home their 4th NBA championship in the Warriors era. Now, in the midst of this playoff run, he would actually receive his first career playoff ejection versus the Memphis Grizzlies, where he would receive 2 technical fouls against forward Brandon Clark. The second one being basically a hook where he would just drag Brandon Clark to the ground. This was initially just called a normal foul, but after a little bit more considerations from the ref, it was upgraded to a technical, and Draymond was ejected from the game. The offseason for the Warriors wouldn't be all sunshine and rainbows considering they had just came off of an NBA championship. In fact, it would be one of the most hectic off seasons in their franchise's history. Now, all of the chaos was created because of a practice that they were holding on October 5th, 2022, where him and guard Jordan Poole ended up getting into it. Draymond gets into his face, Jordan shoves him back, and Draymond throws a right hook that would have made a prime Mike Tyson proud. Now, this all started because of an exchange of words between Draymond and Jordan Poole, where Jordan Poole would tell Draymond that he was an expensive backpack for 30, of course referencing to their superstar Stephen Curry, and basically saying that Draymond had been carried through all of those championships because of Steph. Now, of course, all of this separation and drama was not good for the Golden State Warriors going into the season. They had a very rough start and seemed like they were having a lot of chemistry issues. But despite all of that, they still managed to make it to the playoffs that year, where in the first round against the Sacramento Kings, Draymond would have yet another infamous moment that would have people questioning his sanity, really. Now, this would happen in a first-round series against the Sacramento Kings, where in a very scrappy game, Domantas Sabonis would fall to the floor, and Draymond would stomp on his chest as he was on the ground. So because this action was completely unnecessary, he was given a flagrant 2 and ejected from the game, and consequently was suspended from their next game, the first home game of the series. Despite losing their integral part of the offense and defense, the Warriors would still go on to get the win in 7 games against the Kings. But the Warriors' luck would quickly run out as they ended up losing in 6 games to the LeBron-led Los Angeles Lakers in that playoff series. Draymond actually accredits them losing this series to the punch just because they didn't have enough chemistry going into it, and it just felt like they were all over the place. So again, another series determined by the actions of Draymond Green. And that of course brings us to this season, where Draymond Green has already been suspended 2 times, the most recent suspension being indefinitely, and these 2 suspensions have definitely been 2 of the craziest moments of this guy's entire career. And that's pretty wild to say, considering I have an entire laundry list of things that I've been talking about this entire video of just crazy stuff that he's done throughout his career. Now, with these next 2, I'm going to go a little bit quicker as they've been talked about a ton recently. But of course, you have November 14, 2023, where he put his infamous headlock on Rudy Gobert. You know that he got a little bit of practice with that on the October 27th incident with Bradley Beal. And then just most recently on December 13th, less than a month after he put the headlock on Rudy Gobert, he punches Jusuf Nurkic in the face, a wild club where basically you have to be really sad if your opponent is the one feeling bad for you. After the game, Jusuf Nurkic basically just said that brother needs some help. And some help he is indeed getting, as the most recent update we have on Draymond Green is that he's going to be out for at least 3 weeks as he's attending therapy. So the main reason I created this video was 1, just to do some research on Draymond and see all the crazy stuff that he's done. But 2, just because I've had a question that I've been going back and forth on internally since all of this Draymond stuff started breaking out. So I want you guys to let me know in the comments down below. Do you think that Draymond Green is going to be remembered for the championship winning, the defensive player of the year, just, you know, his amazing career? Or do you think that people are going to look back on Draymond Green and they're just going to think of the antics, the punch, the kick, the headlocks? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Me personally, I'm leaning more towards the middle, right? Because I feel like he's cemented his legacy enough to where people are going to talk about the championships and the DPOYs, but you're not going to be able to have a conversation about Draymond very long without all of these antics coming up. And that's going to do it for me, y'all. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this. This was honestly the most fun that I've had on creating a video thus far. Just getting stuck in all of these loopholes and things like that of the different things that Draymond Green has done throughout his whole career. So I just want to say, if you enjoyed this video half as much as I did making it, please drop a like and subscribe. I've been putting a ton of work into this channel, and I appreciate all of the support that I've gotten already. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone for showing out on the hashtag AskOTB. This is going to be something that I'm going to be doing religiously in all of my videos. So again, if you have any sort of hot take, question, anything like that, just drop a hashtag AskOTB in the comment section down below for a chance to be featured in one of these videos. And as well as that, one more time, just let me know if Draymond is going to be remembered for the 4 rings and all of the DPOIs, or the countless ejections and technicals and the $2 million in fines that he's racked up throughout his NBA career. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you guys so much more than you know. Without further ado, I'm getting out of here. Peace.